You and I in a series of getting and staying healthy together. One of my favorites people on the earth right now is Joe Salvani. This guy, I've only known him for about a month actually, but I tell you what, I know what's going on. I was just on the phone call with somebody in New York State today, this morning, Ed. Ed,
Yes.
I forget Ed's last name, but he was saying,
Garner.
yeah, he was telling me how his appetite is diminished. He's lost, I think, close to 30 pounds. I can say that. I buy this special frozen pizza at Fresh Market. They'll have to pay me for that. And it's called Table 31. It's the best piece of pizza I've ever had in my life. So now I know what they mean by New York pizza. Anyway, so I have the two pieces. I put in the ovens about 11 o'clock at night. I eat the one. I said, oh, this is the best pizza I ever had. I started to eat the second piece. I said, I guess I'll save this for the wife. My appetite, I'm eating half of everything. So, hopefully what is it in this product? First of all, what's the name of your product
The
again?
name of the product is called Cellivate.
Cellivate, Cellv.
E-V and the number 8. It's a product of Cellivate Nutritional Inc. It's traded in the public markets on the OTC. The symbol is CELV. And the product, basically, there's a series of products. The first one's come out. But the main thing is that they have a sustained release delivery system. It's based on a gummy, but they use a corn fiber base. Really, it's called Fibersol, which is made by Archer Daniels Midland. Fibersol by itself is a prebiotic, so it's also good for you.
Prebiotic.
Yeah, which is good for the digestion. But the whole point of this is that there is a product called superoxide dismutase, called SOD2. Now, to go back just a little bit of biochemistry. Okay, so reactive oxygen species, which happens to be free
Reactive what?
reactive oxygen species,
Okay.
what you may know as free oxygen radicals.
Are they good or bad?
Now, they're bad. Okay, now,
Anything that says radical
inflammation.
is bad, right?
Inflammation.
Inflammation is the number one killer
No.
in the U.S., right?
Okay, so the way your body works is you need inflammation to get rid of bacteria and invaders in your body, for example, viruses and bacteria. For when you have it normally working, what ends up happening is that your body reacts to it. They raise inflammation, so therefore you generate what's
Okay,
called.
let me ask you. So God did a great job. I mean, kidneys. It's a miracle every day that we're here. It's
Right.
just an absolute miracle. So why this seem? Hey, Dad, forgive me, but why this mess up? Because why does inflammation go over the boundaries of what it should?
I'm about to get into that. So basically, how inflammation shuts down is that when you breathe, 4% of all the oxygen gets turned into O2 negative. O2 positive is oxygen. It goes into your lungs, gets transferred through the lungs into the cell, into the bloodstream. The cells it gets carried throughout the body. The red blood cells carry it throughout the body.
O2 negative, though, is what?
Okay, so when the O2 comes into the cell is driven by a thing called the mitochondria, which is your power plant. Inside the cell, as the mitochondria absorbs the oxygen, it emits 4% of the oxygen as O2 negative, okay, as basically garbage. That garbage is what's called superoxide. Now, the normal cell is going to have a garbage eater. That garbage eater is called superoxide dismutase. 2. That is God's gift to us to try and make sure you don't have a buildup of this thing called superoxide. Because if you have too much superoxide and it overwhelms the garbage man, what ends up happening is then leaks out of the cell and then starts affecting the other cells. Now, it also begins to affect the mitochondria of that particular cell. Now, what does that mean? Okay, so mitochondria, if it has too much of the garbage buildup, it means it's being attacked by the superoxide, several things can happen. One, it can cause the cell to stop multiplying. It could also, which it basically leads to senescence. Senescence leads to aging. So that's one thing that's one bad thing that happens.
Senility.
So as you age, there is a gigantic imbalance between the reactive oxygen species, which occurs every minute or every second as you breathe. That 4% happens. When you run, it happens faster. So therefore, the more you run, the more problems you generate. That's why after a while you need to stop running. You need to actually rest. Your body has to catch up. The superoxide dismutase must catch up to the superoxide. When you don't have that balance, that's when it begins to leak out. So what causes with the various different things. One of the reasons why people gain weight, and the reason why we have these weight loss drugs, and Eli Lilly's product Zepbound, Mounjaro is the other thing for diabetes. You also have Ozempic, and you also have, I forget what their weight loss drug is called, but effectively what they do is they raise inside the cell, they raise the SOD2 to try and balance out the excess garbage. Because what happens is for people that have too much superoxide, too much excess garbage, okay, eventually what it does is it begins to attack the pancreas's beta cells. The beta cells generate insulin, which then regulates the sugar in the body. So diabetes comes about because you have excess sugar in your body because the insulin is not coming. Now, how does that happen? If the beta cell is being attacked by the superoxide, so if there's a war, okay, what happens is it misses a signal. What's the signal? The GLP is what these products are. That's what these weight loss drugs are. Everyone thinks they work by increasing the signal. Well, that isn't necessarily true. What really they do is they actually work by doing away with the free oxygen radicals attacking the pancreatic beta cells. Now, that means you can hear the signal. When you hear the signal, you stop eating. So people that are balanced don't overeat. Now, well, how does that happen? Because people that miss the signal, you generate too much sugar in the body. You become addicted to sugar. You become addicted to ultra-processed foods. You keep eating.
That's what's happened to me.
And so then people gain weight, and then the sugar also starts to do detrimental things to the rest of the body by causing more reactive oxygen species, which begin to attack other parts. It leads to other diseases that come about because of diabetes. It leads to buildup of plaque in your arteries. It leads to damage,
lead to
atrial
a stroke.
fibrillation. It leads to
Okay, let me ask you
leads to
something.
building plaque in the brain.
Okay, I want to take a little break here.
Sure.
Because people don't care how much you know to then how much you care. Now, who are you? I mean, here you are. You're a guy with an MBA from Columbia, valedictorian in the business school. Okay. You were involved in investments the majority of your life, now in your late 60s. So you like traveling the internet and you bump into this stuff. How is it that Joe ends up going from finances into this, or is it all connected?
No, it's all connected. What happens is I was working at the local, I liked working at the local Kimpton, and happened to be there, and happened to be.
He doesn't mean working for them. He means that he goes there and hangs out by the beach.
That's right. And so what happened was is somebody was actually saying, "Hey, you look like you're working. What are you doing?" And it just so happened he was a shareholder in this company, Cellulate. And he says, "Mate," and I told him what I did, which is I help public companies in the early stages of their life grow up. And, so basically what that means is I guide them to structure themselves, help them with financing, help them with their advising them. And for that, I generally get stock in the company. I invest in the company. So he said, maybe you could help this company out. So he put the CEO of the company, called Mike Ferraro. He came up to see myself and my partner, Dan Walsh, the next day. And Mike started telling me about this superoxide, the Mutase product he had, and more importantly, how he basically came up with a delivery system, which he then later on has a patent pending on, of being able to use the gummy to take the hybrid melon extract, which has the SOD2 enzyme in it, and is able to get it past the stomach acids, which up until now, no one has been able to do because SOD gets destroyed by the stomach acids on the way down.
This is why we had, I won't mention it, but we had a vitamin when you and I were kids. The whole world was buying these vitamins, and they found out later in life they can't assimilate into the system. All they do is make your urine more yellow, and they were useless. So now this is a vehicle to bring this further along into the lower abdomen, right?
Yeah. Now, if you look at the whole pharmaceutical industry, is based upon trying to find synthetic chemicals to mimic natural chemicals.
Nutraceuticals?
No, the pharmaceutical industry, the ethical pharmaceutical industry, guys like Lilly, the guys like Merck, the guys like Pfizer.
Okay.
Almost every one of these prescription drugs you take are based on synthetic chemistry trying to mimic natural products to try and block receptors. Now, the reason why they do that, besides getting a patent on it, the reason why they do that
so
is
they can recoup their research and development, right?
But the reason why they do that is a lot of the natural things that you could take get destroyed by the gastric acid, and so therefore it doesn't make its way into the body. So if you could if you could actually find a delivery mechanism that you could take orally that would enable a lot of natural things like I just told you about superoxide dismutase coming from a hybrid melon. But if you're able to take other things which are not bioavailable, meaning that they don't get through the stomach, but there are other products out there that you can get naturally, then all of a sudden what happens is it becomes just as important as the pharmaceutical.
So this is why a doctor told me a couple
yeah.
of years ago, I take whatever it is, it's antacid, and he said, I said, I'm taking that with my high blood pressure. He goes, no, because then it won't be able to assimilate into your system if you've taken the antacid first.
That's right. And so therefore, part of the problem with natural products like peptides, enzymes, your body destroys it. Now it's done, the reason why it destroys it is because it's been built to get rid of bacteria and viruses so that you survive. That's how we survive so many years. Evolution has done that for us. It's another gift God gave us. But
Do you think the next step is we'll be able to live hundreds of years?
I think that if you could put it this way, out of the $4.8 trillion that we spent last year on medical in the United States,
Yeah.
$4.4 trillion is spent on chronic oxidative stress diseases. So here's what the medical community is just beginning to realize, and most people don't, that the real disease is chronic oxidative stress. All the other diseases that we know of, cardiovascular, plaque, Alzheimer's,
It all stems.
bipolar, they all stem from the battle between the reactive oxygen species, which I talked about, and SOD2.
This is crazy because it was only 100 years ago that there was a doctor who suggested you wash your hands before you do an operation, and they mocked him, laughed at him, and he later became their hero because they found out. Yeah.
Yeah, no.
That was 100 years ago.
So if
This
you,
is amazing.
SOD2, which is what we're talking about, which protects your mitochondria, because there's three forms of it, but the most important one is SOD2.
Yeah.
It's the manganese-based SOD, is the key to protecting your mitochondria, which is your power plant. Why? Because the mitochondria creates something called ATP. ATP, if you want to look at it, is what creates your ability to move. It generates the electricity that each cell needs in order for your body, which is like an electrical circuit, to make the heart move and everything else go. So very important, the SOD2 is the primary defender of the most important part of your body, which is the mitochondria. All right, so now, in order to basically move forward and to keep your body from turning against itself, when all these things called autoimmune diseases, diabetes, arthritis, you can go down the list of them. There was a product called, there's a disease called ulcerative colitis, or irritable bowel syndrome. Okay, Lilly got a new drug that came out today that got approved. Okay, what they're doing is they're trying to block some form of the inflammation. Reality of the situation is if you could deliver SOD2 to the cells that are inflamed and have it go in endogenously, you'd be able to get rid of the ulcerative colitis. Now,
But can F. Lilly or whoever there, can they steal this from your guy who
well, I mean,
created this?
the good part about this is that Mike filed the patent on the delivery system. The key is not only can he
How
deliver.
long was that good for? 20 years?
Well, it's not issued yet. It's patent pending, but when it's issued, we'll get another 17 years.
17.
So, but most importantly, with nutraceuticals, you get a brand. So Cellivate,
get a what?
you get a brand, and brand becomes more important than actually than
Like I'm still taking Nexium even though their patent ran out.
right. And more,
But I am saving about $400
But the good
a
news
month.
about this particular nutraceutical
Yeah.
is it's more than just SOD. SOD will be the key component, but you could add in vitamin C, you could add in glutathione, you could add in almost any of these other natural products. So the good part about Cellivate is it's a vegan-based product because it's got only natural things to it, and the gummy actually tastes great. So then he came out with a new product to help people lose weight. It's called Slim Cell. It's got a significant amount of SOD. It's the greatest
That's
amount.
what I've been taking.
Right. It's the greatest amount of SOD that anybody's been able to get into the body. Almost 100% of it's bioabsorbed. And when you add the Fibersol, you have twice the amount of Fibersol. So the two of them together actually work very well. Fibersol makes you feel full. Okay, the SOD actually allows the GLP signal to be heard by the pancreatic beta cells, and as a result, you begin to lose weight. Why? You don't crave sugar anymore. You don't crave the ultra-processed food, because we all become addicted to sugar. We've all become addicted to the
This
ultra
just
processed
happened
food.
2 nights ago. I went to Fresh Market again, and I got, they have the most fantastic ice cream. It's black raspberry with shavings of chocolate in it. I discovered this in Miami a few years when I was visiting my niece. Anyway, so I bought this the other night, but then I also bought these. It's called Natural something, and it's all these little. It's only 50 calories, and it's frozen, almost like that ice cream that's out that looks like they're called space pellets or something. So some of it's little tiny chunks of strawberries and raspberries, but it's also got these little round pellets, and it's all natural. It's no fake coloring. It's all good for you. And what I did was I ended up eating 2 of those, 100 calories, but I went to bed and I said, geez, you didn't even eat your favorite ice cream. That has diminished. And I find myself, like the other night, I also got a boiling bag of Green Giant cream spinach, which is made with real butter, by the way. But the whole package is only 100 calories. I'm sitting there eating and saying, I'm enjoying this more than I do ice cream.
Yeah, well,
so I'm having a
that's right.
natural proclivity
Well,
towards
the first
better
thing,
choices.
the first thing that's happening is that you lose your cravings for the things that are making you addicted.
Yeah.
Why? Why? Because very simple. When you have an imbalance of superoxide and superoxide dismutase 2, what happens is you lead yourself into addiction.
So is this why when you're in AA, people eat chocolate bars to help them take the
they're
craving
getting
away?
addicted to something else. To something else.
But the point is, so your product, Celivate,
Stops the addictions.
it helps stop. So anybody that's in recovery should start taking this stuff as well.
100%.
Because there's psychological factors
The,
of why you...
the reason why, well, that causes the psychological factor. The imbalance between SOD2 and the O2 negative is what causes your dopamine receptors to stay in the on position, getting you addicted. So one of the big things that most people don't know, that we have another company that we started with the CEO of the company, Dan and myself and Mike, and another individual started a company called SOD Sciences, Inc. SOD Sciences is marketing a test, a saliva-based test, that is going to basically tell you whether or not you have a genetic predisposition to
Wow.
being balanced between superoxide and
When will this be available?
it's available, probably going to start in April. But here's
Are
what's
they part
interesting.
of your company or something else?
Celivate's going to own 25% of it. It's a private company.
Then we can, if it
Yeah.
starts to, we know this works, then we'll start to promote it
well,
here.
Well, yes, of course. But here's the very simple thing. It's very similar to 23andMe. You spit into it, and what it does
I
is
did that.
what it does, it comes back in a week or two, and it tells you whether or not you have what's called a SNP, which is a polymorphism. Great big name, but think of it as variant. Do you have the variant that basically means that you have the SOD2 gene that is 40% inefficient, or do you have the one that is balanced, or do you have one of each, which means, now, interesting enough, 35 to 40% of the people are stuck in the worst case situation, what's called the VAL, the TT variant. Then another 20 to 25% of the people have one of each, which means they're also susceptible but not as bad, and the people that are balanced are the CCs. Now, this simple test will determine whether or not you're born in what I call the screwed position, meaning that from day one that you're born.
You might want to find a better term.
It's the truth. Okay, I mean, there are other words you could use, but I mean.
Well, Joe Rogan uses worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, there are other words you could use, but that's an easier word for people to understand. Because from the minute you're born, you basically are in chronic oxidative stress. And then it keeps on accumulating. So even if your life has been perfect, by the time you reach middle age, more than likely you're going to have at least 1 or 2 chronic diseases. You're either going to be obese, you're going to have type 2 diabetes, or you're going to just start generating plaque in your arteries, which eventually then leads to plaque in the brain. So those people have to know that. So knowing it is very important, but up until now there were no solutions. With the advent of the GLP-1 drugs, such as Mounjaro and Ozempic, and now Celivate being a nutritional that can deliver the SOD2, these are the only 3 ways right now that you could actually increase the SOD2 inside the mitochondria to balance yourself out. So if you know that your child has been born like that, you can actually do several things for a case. For example, the gummy can go to a 3-4-year-old child. But more importantly, you could actually make sure your child doesn't take ultra-processed foods. Limit the sugar intake. Make sure they're walking. Because these are things that will
One
help.
thing though, I have to tell you that. I'm gonna go to bed, and I know I want a little something to eat before I go to bed. So I said, oh, you haven't taken your gummies yet. Your gummies taste good. They're almost like candy. What would happen if a child got, when my mother, do you remember?
You can't OD.
Do you remember X-Lax?
You cannot OD on
Do you remember
this.
X-Lax?
Yeah, X-Lax you could OD
Okay.
on.
My mother was young. They were chocolate X-Lax.
And you ate them.
It makes you,
Yeah, I did the same thing
gives
too.
you the runs.
I did the same.
And you ate the whole container.
Yeah, and I ended up going to the bathroom.
You and my mother, you should have known each other.
However, very simple, that you can OD
So,
on that.
so a kid eats this stuff, or I get taken
can't-
away and I forget that I'm
you,
eating.
You can't OD on this stuff.
Okay.
Okay, you'd have to eat, it's like anything else. You could OD on water, but you'd have to have a lot of it.
Okay.
All right, so.
That's nice to
But
know,
more,
though, if you're a parent.
But the key to this whole thing is that
grandparent.
every single chronic disease, every single thing, every addiction,
Yeah.
Alzheimer's, bipolar, autism, all these things are caused by this imbalance. That's why Dan and I are writing a book called the SOD2, the God gene. Why is it called the God gene? Because very simple. That particular thing, SOD2, if you're not balanced correctly, can screw up your whole life because it totally
Well,
puts
do
you
you think
into
he's
medical.
going to take umbrage with that? I don't know. You know.
No, he created it. Why would he take umbrage? He gave us that gene. Okay, if people are born with insufficient gene, now they're going to be able to find out about it. He's giving us the knowledge to let us know that we can now solve it
But why the God?
because God made us.
Yeah, but I mean, so you're presuming this is the ultimate.
I'm saying this is the simplest, easiest way for us to do away with 90% of all our spending that we have in healthcare. Now, that's just the United States.
Some people are going to say that's pretty outlandish and outrageous.
Well,
But
there's a ton of.
I happen to know this guy. This guy,
there's-
Joe, he would not be saying
There's
this
a
stuff.
ton of
if he didn't.
NIH papers that says that if you could raise the SOD2 endogenously, means inside the cell, you will have changed medicine. I'm telling you the
You
reason.
have jumped into this just head first, okay? They
Mm-hmm.
say, and
No,
without.
I was a chemical industry analyst at Goldman Sachs. I have
You were a
followed
chemical what?
Chemical industry analyst at Goldman Sachs in the early 80s.
Oh, so
I
this
un-
is not so
No,
far-fetched
no,
for
I
you.
understand. I've been reading these papers forever.
Now you tell me this.
Okay, now here's the best part. AI, and the best AI is Perplexity Pro. AI is enabling me now for a very, very short period of time to read all the papers and understand and been able to piece together things that doctors don't have the time to learn. Majority of doctors have never even heard about SOD2. They learned about it in college in their biochemical class and they forgot it. Now, they keep telling, they're told that we could sell this drug, we got to stop inflammation. There are certain PhDs that in the last several years, especially since we've had the COVID virus, and this is really the best part. Since the COVID virus, there's been a ton of studies where you could actually find out that there is a polymorphism of the SOD2 gene that is linked to people getting all these diseases.
So this COVID thing really woke a lot of sleeping giants.
Well, yes, because very simple. The 1.3 million people in the United States that died from COVID, and every year more and more happening, the people that get the worst reaction, and they've been able to prove that with the studies, are the people that are that have the val polymorphism. They were the ones that when you get it, go into the hospital, they were the ones that died.
So Celluvate can help.
If people knew
Reverse
about that, if people knew about that, it would have helped against the virus. It would have kept whatever the reaction the virus gave you at a much, much lower level because you didn't die from the virus. You died from having your body go into hyper
All right.
inflammation.
Now, we've gotten people curious right now. We haven't said it quite enough, as I would normally ask it every 10 minutes. It's called Celluvate. It's
Yes.
CELL.
CELLEV,
V.
the number 8.
That's it. Very.
Yes, you go to celluvate.com. and you can order it.
CELLE. V is in victory,
Yeah.
and then the number 8. Celluvate.com.
That's right. Matter of fact, yesterday the company announced that Andre Reed, which is a Football Hall of Famer,
Yeah.
and was out of the Buffalo Bills, it's very possible that the Bills may end up being in the Super Bowl this year, and it's very possible that their quarterback ends up being the most valuable player in the league, right?
And he's taking Celluvate?
So Andre has been
Celluvate.
taking it and feeling better, and has decided to become a spokesperson for the company.
Really?
Now, what's very interesting is he's going to be putting Mike Ferraro and himself on about 80 different podcasts down around the Super Bowl. So you're going to be hearing a lot about Cellivate, and I'm hoping the Buffalo Bills make it, even though Kansas City looks like the tough team to beat. But the point is that the Buffalo Bills make it. Andre is going to be able to introduce Mike to a lot of people. And
CELLE, V is in victory, and the number 8.com.
That's right. And you know the real home run to this is that this is basically, and I'll go back to a company called NVIDIA. NVIDIA is now the kingpin of semiconductors. And the reason why they're the kingpin, they're just not a semiconductor manufacturer. They have developed the technology around it to make them differentiated. So they keep taking more and more share of the computer. And so that's why they become the second or third most valuable company in the world. I believe that Cellivate is the NVIDIA of nutraceuticals because it's going to have an unlimited number of products because of the sustained release delivery system, because there's been so many very interesting nutraceuticals that could be created if you could actually get some of these products, natural products that are bio unavailable, to become bioavailable, meaning that they get into your body, they get into your bloodstream. Now, we're working on a product. Mike is actually going to have the product hopefully out for when around the Super Bowl. We came out with the Slim Cells, I told you, which is for helping people lose weight.
Yeah.
All right, but more importantly, and to be used when you have Lilly's product as well, so people that, if they want to migrate off Lilly's product or to help accentuate the weight loss with Lilly, you take this. But more importantly, a thing called Elevate. Elevate is going to be ELEV, the number 8. Elevate. So Elevate with Cellivate.
And you secured that already?
Yes.
I hope.
Yep. Got
That's
the trademark.
Great.
Elevate with Cellivate.
Cellivate and then Elevate.
And then, so hopefully Andre is going to be talking about it now. Mike gave me some samples yesterday, and I tried it.
Yeah.
And I tell you, when you take this, not only does it have the SOD2, which protects the mitochondria, but it delivers. Remember that thing I told you about, ATP, which happens to be what makes you move. It's really the source of all energy because the mitochondria makes the ATP. Well, he was able to deliver ATP, which you can't do, because ATP, if you try to take ATP through, the stomach acid gets it. So now, we've now got the thing that protects the mitochondria. It gives you ATP, and we give ribose, I guess, another product, ribosis, I forget the name of it. But the point is, now you have 3 things. When you take this, we took 2 of them. I mean, Dan took 2 and I took 2. You all of a sudden feel like you have a massive amount of energy. Matter of fact, the series of products we have gone from 2 professional teams a year ago to over 50 professional teams. The Cleveland Cavaliers take it, the Yankees minor league farm system takes it, you have the Los Angeles Rams taking it. So now, if you start taking Elevate, you're going to be recovering while you're playing. Remember I told you before, when you run, eventually you got to stop. I don't know if you ever ran the 440 when you were a kid, but if you ever ran the 440 race, and you ran as fast as you could, somewhere around the third, about 3/4 of the way through, your body just, what they call, hits the wall. You're just amazing. You just stop. Now,
well, whenever I get the desire to exercise, I sit down and I wait till it passes. I'm sorry.
That's okay. And then, so when you take, if a professional athlete would take this, it is helping him deal with the fact that when you're running and jumping, you're taking in 8 times as much oxygen as you normally do. Therefore, you're generating 8 times as much of that garbage. So your body has a hard time catching up. So sooner or later, you need to rest. But if you take the SOD2 with the ATP, what will happen is you're not going to have to rest as much. You have a lot more time before you need to rest. So you could elevate your performance. Think of it this way. You remember that, fly like, Michael Jordan, fly like an eagle. That, basically when you had Michael Jordan in the movie. It's very simple. Okay, he happened to have a superior athletic performance. His balance, he definitely had a perfect balance. He might even had an excess supply of SOD2 because of that. So this is going to enable people to balance out. I actually like to say what Cellivate enables you to do is actually able to balance the source of all the chronic diseases we have, which happens to be the imbalance of superoxide and SOD2.
Wow. So CELLE, V as in victory, and then the number 8, Cellivate.
Right, and there's
.com.
.com. That's it.
And so check this out. We'll be progressing along here
Yeah,
over
you know,
time.
and it's a public company too, and the stock is at $3. And if I'm right, we're going to be uplisting probably by come April. And I think, as I said to you, if the world recognizes that I'm right, that this is the Nvidia of nutraceuticals, the stock should do extremely well because the company sales are taking off. And the good part is that we've had we've had over 7,000 or 8,000 people who've had Alzheimer's have amazing, after a week, getting very, very interesting activity coming.
Boy, you're making some big promises.
No. These are all
Ed from
testimonials.
New York, I just heard this morning. He
These
said
are all
it's changed his
testimonials.
life.
Every person that I've seen take this has reacted
So
extremely
you're
well.
confident that this whole new thing with my appetite being diminished is from the...
Yeah, your cravings, totally. I mean, I've been taking it now for...
The only thing is I'm missing in my food. I'm going, what do I do with this time? Normally I'm watching a movie and I go,
Well, you
I look at the
take
refrigerator.
Snap-Peas.
I'm going to the refrigerator. I'm looking. I'm going.
By the way,
no,
those
no,
Snap-Peas are going to sound a lot better to you than the sugar.
no. Oh, already.
Yeah, so.
Vegetables and fruits. I naturally am wanting like
And-
never
and-
before.
And your appetite's going to be, you're listening to your signal. The reality is, as you age, you should be eating less.
Yeah.
And most people don't. They actually eat more. Another thing is that for women, they go through, they have post-menopause problems. Okay, so they have to go through hormonal therapy. Well, a lot of the reasons why I have all the problems is because post-menopause, your body's in chronic oxidative stress.
Is all this stuff? Are you going to take like an interview like this and put it up on your website?
Yeah, no.
So people could watch this again? They could hear it
I'm pretty
again?
sure Mike, if I go to Salivate, I'm pretty sure Mike will put this up. But yeah,
I think it's a great idea because somebody hears this, and I don't know about someone else here, but I'm slow of mind. Sometimes it takes me to hear a few times, and I won't feign knowledge until I get it. But when I do have it, and if I tell you I've got it, then I've got it, and better than most. But it takes a little longer for me. So I just want to make sure that this stuff gets up there because they go to the website to purchase this. They also might want to learn about it even more. So again, to CELLE, V as in victory, the number 8. Pretty easy to remember.
and there's a lot of information on the website too that
Great.
you can learn about.
Joseph, thank you for coming in today and being part of this. This is Rhett Palmer.
And thanks once again, Red.
Thank you. You and I getting healthy together.
Yes,
Okay? We're on our way, folks. Salivate.
you got it.